Okay, so the question is, if you want to go into the field, into the criminal justice field, where do you start? And we'll just go down the road and let each of you all have a say in that, if you would.
Sure. One of the things that I tell people that they've got to have a science background, they have a strong science background, and you really need to put emphasis with chemistry and biology. You've got a lot of programs out there that'll sell the image of, I want to go into forensic science and take these courses, but ultimately all you're going to do is come out on a lot of those programs to, maybe you can do a crime scene, maybe, but you're going to work for the Department of Correction or something at that level. So, my advice is if you want to go in, well, first, number one, visit the laboratory and know what you're getting in for, because it's not glamorous. It's not Hummers like Chris said before. And I do have a Hummer, but it's not the glamour and glitz that people think that it is. It's hard work. You have to be dedicated, and you have to know going in that you're a public servant, and you're going to spend a lot of hours, and with very little people patting you on the back. So visit a crime laboratory.
There are lots of bad smells.
A lot of bad smells. You don't want to be at the crime lab in the summertime. You just don't. But so you got to know what you're going in for, and again, strong science background.
Chris?
I guess my first question is, in criminal justice is huge. Do you want to be law enforcement? Do you want to be a prosecutor or a defense attorney? Or do you want to work in the science part of it? Those are three totally different tracks. If it's the science part, then you need to start, when you get into college, you need to talk to a crime lab and ask them what their requirements are to get hired. Because each section at the crime lab that we have has very specific course requirements. And so if you get through the whole biology program and you don't take statistics and molecular biology and genetics and biochem, then you can't be a DNA analyst. It doesn't matter. What else you have a 4-point or whatever else, you cannot be a DNA analyst.
One of the things I want to mention, too, that sometimes gets overlooked is, you've got people going into trying to get their criminal justice degree, or they're in college, and they mess up. They get arrested for DUIs or whatever the scenario is there's thorough background checks, and if those kinds of things crop up, and there's so many applicants out there, qualified applicants, you're going to go by the wayside. So it's real important to keep those things in mind. The things that you do now in school are going to affect you later on.
Eduardo?
I'm of the persuasion that we have too many criminal justice graduates with a love of soft science areas, the sociology of crime, the criminology of crime, and profiling and understanding psychology and so forth. I think that where we're really lacking, for her question, is in the hard science areas. We don't have enough people that are skilled in information technology. We don't have enough people that are skilled in the language of business and finance, which is why we have things like the Bernard Madoff and some of the other Ponzi schemes that we've had all around the country. The Securities and Exchange Commission has lost the ability to pay attention, and so has law enforcement. That is it, point blank. We don't know how to pay attention because the people that we are paying to investigate these high-tech types of crimes have no idea how to understand them. And I know that sounds pretty brutal, but a love of criminal justice is fine. But if you don't understand the language of business, if you don't understand the language of information technology, as it involves cyber crime areas, there's a whole lot of ways to get hurt that way. And believe me, we're playing catch up in those two areas. I'm going to say information technology, accounting, finance. We have too many psychology majors. We have too many sociology majors. We have too many soft science applicants trying to get a job, and you'll never get a job because you've got too many people applying for the same type of job. Focus on the math, focus on the business, focus on the information technology, focus on language proficiencies is another area. How many of you pay attention to the stories that come up involving world global security and so forth? Al-Qaeda is talking again, so we're going to send more people out there and so forth. It takes us years before we figure out what they're saying. I say that with a lot of humor because we base our decisions on the fact that there is increased chatter. And that's exactly what they say, because they have no idea what is being said with some of the Middle Eastern dialects that are being spoken. We have very few people with language proficiencies in so many of the Middle Eastern dialects that are going on, and I'm not picking on the Middle East. There's other dialects that we are extremely deficient on. And if we do not have the ability to understand what's going on in our global business environment, we're going to be in trouble, big time. So those are a few things to consider. I hope I answered your question.